The topic that I'm going to be talking about, let's see if I can get this to work, is the USANA difference, right? So the question is, what is the difference? What is it that USANA does that's different than everybody else? What sets us apart from the crowd? Now, a few months ago, in December of last year, I was out here and I talked a little bit about the quality of our manufacturing and how we exceed all the standards that the rest of the industry follows. And that's certainly one of the things that sets USANA apart. Now, for those of you that heard that talk, don't worry, I'm not going to repeat that one, because there's so many other things that USANA does to set us head and shoulders above the rest of the crowd. And that's what I'd like to concentrate on today. So the real difference is our products and the way those products are put together and how we manufacture and get those out to you. And it all started with one man, with Dr. Myron Wentz, who had a vision for how true nutrition and true health should be put together. First and foremost, you have to manufacture to pharmaceutical grade standards. That's a given. We're not going to talk about that right now, but more importantly, you need to get all the required nutrients. You need to put them into a quality formula to make sure that every cell in your body obtains its maximum potential. And to do this, it has to be backed by science. We don't just make things up, it's real. It has to have some sort of basis to make sure that it's important. And to do this, Dr. Wentz has put together a wonderful, very talented, and multidisciplinary team of scientists. In fact, we have over 60 scientists worldwide who help to develop and test USANA products. We have people with expertise in all kinds of different fields: cellular and molecular biology, pharmacology, analytical chemistry, organic chemistry, food science. We have chiropractors and doctors on our staff. These are very, very talented and very intelligent people that help put our products together and make sure that they're put together the right way. So, we've apparently been fairly successful in doing that because we've won award after award after award over the years for our product development and for our products. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure you know that in the NutriSearch Comparative Guide to Nutritional Supplements, we have been the editor's choice, a 5-star gold medal award winner. We have been the best of the best for years, ever since this nutritional supplement guide was put together by Lyle McWilliam. And what Lyle has said about our products is that in a review of over 1,600 products, this is in North America, in the comparative guide, USANA's incredible health products have set a new standard in nutritional excellence. And that's why we've gotten the Editor's Choice Award. And these independent third parties like NutriSearch have over and over again supported that USANA is the #1 nutritional supplement company in the world. There is no one as good as what we do. So, you know that our products all start with the essentials. The essentials is a product that everybody should take every single day as a start to their nutritional program. And then we have a whole system of optimizers that are complements to the essentials. These are designed for people that need higher levels of certain nutrients for particular health issues and concerns that they might have. The quality, though, that goes into making the essentials and the optimizers also goes into making all of our other products, whether they're our food products or sensei. Everything works together. So, we turn Dr. Wentz's initial vision into the mission for our company. And that mission is to develop and provide the highest quality, science-based health products possible. How do we do that? Well, we have what we call the USANA quality equation. We have to start with the best materials. We have to put them into the best possible formulas. And we manufacture those products under pharmaceutical grade GMPs to make sure that they are good quality products. More importantly, we continually improve our processes, our products. We reformulate those products. We make investments in our manufacturing, and we make investments in the science to put those products together so that they can be continually upgraded. And finally, and I think the most important, is that we control this process from start to finish. We do not depend on anybody else to tell us how to put a product together, what should be in a product, how we should manufacture that product, how we should test that product, but we set those standards ourselves. Now, even Lyle McWilliam, who has been rating nutritional supplements for years, has a set of nutrients that he thinks are the most important to put in a product. We don't always agree with Lyle. As a matter of fact, I tell him all the time how he's wrong and how he should listen to what we're doing. We are independent. We don't rely on anybody else. And I think that is very, very, very important. So let's talk about this a little bit. We're not going to worry about the manufacturing today, but I want to start out by talking about how we put products together, what levels of nutrients we should use, and how that is done, how we make sure that they're the best nutrients. So these are science-based. The formula is first based on published epidemiological and clinical studies on humans. Now, this is stuff that is published in the open literature that anybody can have access to. But of course, being USANA, that's not enough for us. We don't want to just read what's in the literature. We have to go out and verify it for ourselves. And that's why we have an in-house research team to verify those results. We also have an excellent group of analytical chemists that look at all of the ingredients we use to test those ingredients and make sure they're the best, and to test the products once they're made. And that's still not enough, because we want to make sure that once we put those ingredients together that they actually are bioavailable, and finally we test those to make sure that they do have clinical efficacy, that they actually help improve your health. So let me kind of work through this a little bit, and I'd like to use vitamin E as an example. So if you go back to the literature, we knew 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, that vitamin E was an important nutrient. This is one of the epidemiological studies that's out there. This was published in 1993 in the New England Journal of Medicine. It was a long-term epidemiological study where they looked at 87,000 female nurses in the Boston area. This was run out of the Harvard Medical School. They looked at their behaviors over a period of time, and over about 8 years of follow-up, they found that the women in this study that had the highest levels of vitamin E, about 200 IUs per day, a little bit higher than that actually, had a much lower incidence of heart disease than women that had the bottom quintile, somewhere around 2.8 IUs of vitamin E per day. And actually what they found was that there was a 41% lower risk of developing heart disease over that period of time in those women that had the higher levels of vitamin E. So this is the first sort of a study you look at. And of course that was followed up by actual human interventions. In an epidemiological study like this, you don't give people anything. You just look at their lifestyles, see what they're doing, and try and make decisions on what's good and what's bad. So the next study I want to talk about is actually one that was run here in France, the Suvi Max Study. This was in the Archives of Internal Medicine about 2005. It was a study of over 13,000 French adults, and they gave them a cocktail of vitamin C, vitamin E. 30 milligrams is about 50 IUs, 10,000 IUs of vitamin A from beta-carotene, 20 mg of zinc, a little bit of selenium. And what they found in this study, if I can get my slide to work, is that after 7.5 years on this regimen, there was total cancer incidence, all-cause mortality in men, and lower cardiovascular disease in both men and women. So this is the next step. You do these human intervention studies, and you see that if you actually give people supplements of vitamin E and some other antioxidants, it has some health benefits in prevention of disease progression over the long term. Now, there are, of course, many, many, many more studies on vitamin E. As a matter of fact, just recently, we finished another review of the scientific literature. This is a vitamin E white paper that we wrote. We actually looked at nearly 120 different clinical studies and epidemiological studies on vitamin E. Read all of those studies, evaluated the data. We looked at both the good data and the bad data. We don't throw anything out. But from that evaluation, we came to the conclusion that you need a dose of at least 200 IUs of vitamin E every day for optimal health. Perhaps a little bit higher, but 200 IUs seems to be that break point. Now, we've done this same sort of a review for every nutrient in the essentials. From vitamin A is beta-carotene, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, all the B vitamins, the minerals, and vital chemicals that go into that. We put these reviews together of all of the scientific literature and set a range for the amount of nutrient that seems to be most beneficial for most people. And that's how we set the amounts that we put into the essentials. Okay? So once this is done, the next step is to go out and get those materials and bring them into our building so that we can formulate with them. And this is where USANA really starts to show its strength. Because for every single nutrient that we put into the essentials, there are 15, 20, 25 different manufacturers, different prices for each of those, and in fact, even though they're supposed to all be the same material, they are all very different. We test those materials ourselves in-house, and we don't rely on a piece of paper that the manufacturer sent to us to tell us what that nutrient is. That's not the way to do things right. So we can do direct comparisons of the active ingredients in each of those manufacturers' products on a piece of machinery like this. This is a high-pressure liquid chromatograph, or an HPLC, with a mass spec detector. These are $250,000 machines. I've bought 4 of those in the last couple of years. Kevin, thank you for letting me spend money. But it's necessary. I mean, we have to get this type of equipment so that we can do these tests in-house. So we do this real time in our labs, with our equipment, with our scientists, in our validated methods, to make sure that we know what those materials are. We don't rely on somebody else to do this for us. We don't send it out to a third-party lab. We do it ourselves. And why is that important? Well, let me give you a quick example. These are HPLC traces of grapeseed extract. Now, according to the manufacturer, these two materials are exactly the same. Both manufacturers claimed the same certificate of analysis, that it was 95% pure proanthocyanidins. When you look at these two traces, you can see that they are not identical, right? The trace on the top is actually a high-quality grapeseed extract. You can see each individual component. So the peaks that come off are different chemicals that are in there: gallic acid, epicatechin, catechin, proanthocyanin dimers and trimers and oligomers. These are the active ingredients in that grapeseed extract. The bottom trace is obviously not as clean. And there are a lot of side peaks down here, which are impurities, decomposition products. So technically, we have terms for these things. The top slide is a high-quality grapeseed extract. The bottom trace is crap. We don't use that. It's garbage. It's useless. You can't depend on the C of A from the manufacturer. You have to test this yourself to really see what the difference is. And as a matter of fact, on an HPLC, you not only can tell purity, but you can tell concentration. If you look at the scales on these two, we took the exact same amount of both extracts and injected them. The top scale goes from 0 to 40. The bottom only goes from 0 up to 4 or 5. So as a matter of fact, the ingredients that are in the top one are there and about 10 times the concentration as the bottom one. So not only is it purer, but it's much more potent. This is only possible to do if you have scientists in your lab to do that assay work. And then, being USANA, we need to take this one step further. We know what formulas to put together. We know how we want to design those formulas. We know how to pick the best materials. But the next question is, are those materials actually bioavailable? That is, if we give them to somebody and they swallow a pill, do any of those ingredients get into their blood, get into their cells, and actually have a chance to do something right? Well, the only way to do that is by a human clinical study to measure bioavailability, or the pharmacokinetics. So we do this in-house. We bring subjects in from our employees. We take some of their blood. We give them a few tablets to take, and then over time we take more blood, and then we analyze that to see if those nutrients actually got into their body. And not only have we done these studies, but we've published them. We put these on our website, so you can see that over the years we've done things like the pharmacokinetics of vitamin C, poly-C versus some other forms. We've looked at the bioavailability of silicon and other minerals in our essential formula. We've done comparative assays on different formulations of CoQ10. We've looked at the absorption of nutrients from different products that were out there. We've done studies over and over and over again, and these are available on the website if you want to see those studies and understand some of the chemistry, some of the science that we've actually done to prove that these ingredients are bioavailable. And of course, that's still not enough for USANA. We want to take it one step further, and we give these products to people in actual human clinical studies that are done either at USANA or with the collaboration of some outside third parties to make sure that there actually are health benefits. So over the years, we've done a number of studies at places like the Linus Pauling Institute at Oregon State University, and the Australian Catholic University in Sydney, the University of Sydney, the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, the University of Colorado Health Sciences Center out in Denver, Boston University School of Medicine, and Tosh, or the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital in Salt Lake City, and many, many other top-notch research institutes around the world. And then this data is published in the scientific literature so that it's available for you to see and for everybody else to see. So for example, This is a study that we published in the Journal of Natural Products. It was a pharmacokinetic study on a new form of turmeric extract. And this was a collaborative research program between USANA, the University of the Piedmont in Italy, and Indina, a pharmaceutical company that manufactured the material for us to do in this test. We were actually able to show that with this new formulation, we could increase the bioavailability about 30-fold, almost unheard of anywhere in the scientific literature. We've done studies like this. This was a study that we did on proflavanol, on blood flow at Boston University School of Medicine, and we presented this information at a meeting of the American Heart Association a few years ago. We've done studies at Tosh, numerous studies on vitamin D bioavailability, how it helps recovery from eccentric exercises and what levels of vitamin D people need to take. And this again was a collaborative study between USANA and the scientists at the Intermountain Tosh, the orthopedic specialty hospital. So I think this shows you quickly how we put our products together, right? We look at the literature, we do additional research ourselves, we make sure we have the best available materials that we put into a formula, and then we test those formulas. We make sure they're bioavailable. We make sure that they have actual, real health benefits. But this alone still is not enough for USANA. I think it's a great start, but I want to talk to you about what really sets us apart, and I think that's our philosophy. We are establishing a new paradigm for true health, right? True health is not defined as just being symptom-free or being obtained by treating symptoms alone, right? True health is having every cell and every system within your body working at its full potential so that you can have strength and vigor and go out and do the things that you want to do every single day. So I want to compare this with traditional medicine. Now, I don't want to denigrate traditional medicine. They have done an excellent job in actually curing infectious diseases, right? They've eliminated most of the things that used to kill us 100 years ago. But this was based on a philosophy of a single vector cause and a single intervention cure, right? And when you looked at what was going on 100 years ago, how were we dying? We were dying from infectious diseases, influenza, pneumonia, tuberculosis, infections. These are acute, single-cause infectious diseases, and a single cure could prevent those or could cure those diseases. Today, the story is quite different. We are now dying from things like cardiovascular disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. These are chronic degenerative diseases. And most importantly, chronic degenerative diseases are complex, multi-cause issues. They affect multiple organs and multiple systems throughout your body, and importantly, they get worse over time. They may stay with us forever. Once you start to develop cancer, heart disease, diabetes, that doesn't go away. You continue to have that disease. Now, medicine can manage the symptoms, but there are few, if any, true cures. The underlying causes of these diseases are still there. So the only way to obtain true health is to prevent these diseases from occurring in the first place. Now, this is a paper that was published by Walter Willett. Walter Willett is probably the premier nutritionist in the world today. He's a nutritionist at Harvard University. He published this, almost 10 years ago now, saying that disease is preventable by lifestyle changes, by diet, exercise, avoidance of certain toxins, and nutritional supplements. And what he was saying is that things like colon cancer, stroke, heart disease, and diabetes are 70 to 90% preventable if you take action early enough. So chronic degenerative disease is preventable with a multi-factored network approach to improve the whole system. We look at humans as an ecosystem, not as single symptoms, not as just a disease that occurs, but it's a whole system. And a combination of lifestyle, diet, toxin avoidance, and supplementation is what is needed to prevent disease from occurring and to maintain health over the long term. Simple enough? Is that a nice concept? Well, being USANA, it's really not enough just to have a concept. We wanted to make sure that we could put this all together, make those changes in people, make sure that they got some physical activity, that they got quality supplementation, that they ate a good, healthy diet, to see what that would do. So we put our money where our mouth is, and we designed a clinical study. We took 85 people that had this pre-diabetic state called metabolic syndrome and put them into a 12-week-long study. Metabolic syndrome is actually characterized mainly by insulin insensitivity. When you start to have metabolic syndrome, you lose insulin sensitivity, which means you can't control your blood glucose. And people that have metabolic syndrome actually have a number of different symptoms that can be measured. Things like dyslipidemia, high LDL cholesterol, low HDL cholesterol, high blood pressure, high blood glucose, high triglycerides. These are all symptoms that are measured that will turn into type 2 diabetes if not treated. Now, we took these people that had metabolic syndrome, that were obese, which is one of the key factors in developing type 2 diabetes, and we put them into a study. And what did that study entail? Well, we had some dietary changes for them. Again, these were obese studies. They had a BMI, body mass index, of about 32 to 34. We gave them, for the first 4 weeks, 2 USANA Nutrimeal shakes every day for breakfast and lunch, some nutrition bars for snacks in between, and we gave them dietary counseling for the third meal of the day that they cooked for themselves so that they could eat a low glycemic, plant-based, high grains and fibers, a very good, healthy diet. We gave them also some exercise counseling. So these were couch potatoes. These were basically people that didn't do any exercise. So we made them get up and go out and exercise. We made them walk for 30 minutes, 4 times a week. 30 minutes for 4 times a week, 2 hours. This is very little, but it's enough. It's much better than sitting in front of the TV all day. And finally, we gave them the USANA Essentials every single day throughout this study. Now, for the last 8 weeks, we gave them just 1 Nutrimeal shake, some nutrition bars to take as snacks, and they cooked 2 meals a day. 12 weeks long. What did we find? Well, what we found, we published. And we published it in Obesity and Weight Management. And this was a study that we did in collaboration with the University of Colorado Health Sciences Center out at Denver. And you can go to our website and get a copy of this publication if you want. And what happened in that study was that over the 12 weeks, they lost weight, about 1 pound a week. which is not too bad for this simple lifestyle change. More importantly, we found that their total cholesterol dropped. And this was mainly due to a drop in LDL, or bad cholesterol. The HDL, the good cholesterol, stayed where it should be. Their triglycerides also dropped. This was about a 15% decrease. Very hard to drop your triglycerides, but very important to do this. You actually want your triglycerides to be below 150 mg per deciliter. We were getting very close to that in this study. Their blood pressure dropped, both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. And then we get into the really interesting stuff. Their insulin sensitivity doubled, more than doubled. There was a 61% increase in insulin sensitivity. Their own insulin was starting to work again the way it's supposed to work, which means that they can control their blood sugar. And then we measured what's called CRP. This is a C-reactive protein. It's a measure of systemic inflammation. And what we found was that inflammation in these people dropped about 43%. And not only did inflammation drop, but induced isoprostanes, this is a way that we developed to measure oxidative stress, also dropped quite a bit. As a matter of fact, this was about a 25% drop in oxidative stress. So here we had a very, very simple lifestyle management program which treated the whole person with supplements, with improvements in diet, and with a little bit of exercise, and we got vast improvements in their overall health. And as a matter of fact, I think this is the most important slide from that publication. We found that people that were clinically diagnosed to have metabolic syndrome at the start of the study progressively got better and better, and by the end of the study, only a very small percentage of them met the clinical requirements to call them, to say that they had metabolic syndrome. There is no drug that any pharmaceutical company sells that can do this. Once you get metabolic syndrome, regardless of the drugs you take, within 5 years you're probably going to develop type 2 diabetes. But you can change your lifestyle and take supplements, the right type of supplements, the right type of foods, get some exercise, and prevent that disease progression from occurring. This is why it is so important to formulate your products correctly, to put those products together, and to test those products to make sure that they do work. And that's why this is our promise to you, that everything we do helps you to love life and live it. USANA, your health, your life, and your way.